As many of you may know, and for others who may not know, the US is running out of farmland and at a rapid rate. There are ways to combat this, but at the rate the world is moving today, it is very unlikely with the ways forests and land are being torn down to build more structures. Research has been conducted by the University of Sheffield's Grantham Center for Sustainable Futures, in which they have discovered that in the past 40 years alone, around one-third of the planet's arable land has been destroyed by erosion or pollution. Now that's not a very long time, and unfortunately it doesn't look to be slowing down anytime soon. Experts at the U.S. Department of Agriculture are predicting that global farming of grains will need to produce more food in the next 50 years than what was produced during the previous 10,000 years just to meet the future demand. Now, this is undoubtedly putting an extreme amount of pressure on farmers today and tomorrow, as well as the land they use to produce our food at a larger and much faster rate. While needing this increase in food, the world is rapidly losing its farmland due to erosion, urban development, and overuse over the last century. The American Farmland Trust estimates that farmland is disappearing at a rate of 2 acres per minute. The National Soil Tilth Laboratory says each human on Earth lives off of the farming equivalent of about a third of a football field today, and population growth and urbanization will shrink that available land base in half by 2050. Now, as of today, there are 7.6 billion people in the world, and while that may seem like a lot, by 2050 there will be a staggering 9 billion people, so there is rapidly decreasing room for all of us. In order to produce enough food to even get close to feeding everyone, we will need an estimated 50% more land if we are to continue living and eating as we are today. With the increase of advanced technology to help tackle these kinds of problems in the world, people have come up with ways to combat these situations and a few interesting new ways to avoid having to use massive farms to feed everyone in the world, which is something that we have done since the beginning of time, have come along. One of them, which has come to light within the last decade or two, is an invention called vertical farming, which an example of is shown on the screen now. With vertical farming, there is a specially designed building ranging roughly from 20 to 25 feet high that has been made specifically to grow various food and crops upward as opposed to outward like historical farmland. These buildings are completely climate-controlled facilities with LED lights of all colors surrounding the plants, and they refrain from using pesticides, herbicides, synthetic fertilizers, or genetically modified organisms, or GMOs. Therefore, not only does it use much less land horizontally and use only around 1% of the water normal farmland does, it is also a much healthier alternative to a lot of crops being grown today that are tainted with various types of chemicals, some of which we know the effect of on humans, and most of we do not. This way, not only can we save the farmland here in the US as well as globally, but we can feel so much better about the food that we are putting into our body. These vertical farms can accomplish this because the plants being grown are in a completely controlled environment made specifically for them to thrive, away from the worries and the harsh unpredictability of the weather. This way, whether it's raining or snowing outside, amazingly, these plants will get all the sunlight and nutrients they need to survive on the inside. These vertical farms will use much less land and water and will also have year-round light and perfectly controlled moisture for quicker and more even growing. Plenty, a California company that is included in this vertical farming phenomenon, claims its technology is able to produce 350 times more crops than regular land farming while only using 1% of the water. Since the area the crops are being grown in is sealed off, you have no risk of the crops becoming contaminated. You can perfect its nutrient uptake and light, for instance. Another upside to this type of farming is that the crops grow faster indoors than they would outdoors. Martin Vanacruz, chief executive of a firm called Urban Crops, who are also heavily involved in vertical farming, says, basically, inside the system, every day is a summer day without a cloud in the sky. Now this is great because we can more accurately time the growth and peak freshness of the crops we are growing. Now this may sound sort of strange and almost like science fiction, but I assure you that it is very real and here to stay. Who knows? It could possibly even be the norm in the farming world within the next 50 to 100 years.